Hello everyone, this is Easy Natural English. So as usual, I'll be speaking in natural English that's a bit easier so you can get used to real English. And today I want to talk about coffee because who doesn't love coffee, right? Everybody, well, most people love coffee. Actually, it is the second most consumed drink in the world. Consumed means eat or drink. So in this case, it means drink. Yeah, water, of course, is number one. Everybody drinks water. But yes, coffee is number two. It's the second most popular drink in the world. And that's pretty amazing. With all the options, we have tea, Coke, orange juice, so many options, but coffee is number two. And yeah, of course I drink a lot of water, but yeah, probably my favorite drink has to be coffee. So coffee, I did talk about coffee in the podcast before. Before Easy Natural English was a YouTube channel when it was only a podcast. Now it's both. When it was only a podcast, I talked about coffee before. But yeah, coffee's great. So I'm going to talk about it again and talk about some things I didn't talk about last time. So coffee, apparently, we know that it comes from Ethiopia, but we don't know exactly how people started consuming it, how people started drinking it. But apparently the story is a goat herder. So goats are those... If you don't know, it's the animal, looks a bit like a sheep, but they have horns and they walk around going, meh, and they kind of like look a bit crazy. They always have a bit of a crazy look in their eye. They're one of my favorite animals, actually, goats. They're so funny. They seem to like climb up on high things, like they climb up on cars, and then they look like they don't know how they got there. I say climb up on cars. Cars, of course, are not in their natural environment, but I saw a lot of goats in Nepal and India where they tend to walk in the streets, and yeah, you will see them climbing up on cars, and then they look kind of confused about how they got up there, but they're climbing up themselves. So yeah, goats, funny animals. So the story is that in Ethiopia, a goat herder, and herd animals means when you get them together, you get the animals to come into a group. So he was a goat herder. So his job was, taking the goats around the countryside and, feeding them, looking after them. So this goat herder saw that the goats sometimes ate the coffee berry. So if you didn't know, coffee is originally, it comes from a berry. So we take the seed or the bean from the middle of the fruit and we make coffee from that. So this coffee herder saw that this goat herder, you can't herd coffee. This goat herder was seeing the goats eat the berries, and afterwards the goats would have a lot of energy and they wouldn't sleep at night. And he thought, wow, that looks useful. Sometimes I need more energy and I don't have time to sleep or something. So he told some local priests. Priests are like the religious people. They might run a religious building. So he told them, or were they monks? Or maybe monks, which is the people that sit around praying all day or meditating all day. If they're Buddhist monks, depends on the type of monk. These monks, he told them about this, and they wanted to have more energy for their religious activities, so they started consuming these coffee beans. And apparently, that's what happened. Apparently that's how coffee got started. And now we're drinking it all over the world. Now it's the number two, the second biggest import product. Import is when you bring something into your country from another country. So oil is number one. Of course, many countries are buying oil and selling oil, but apparently number two is coffee. So yeah, very popular drink. What else should I say about coffee? Well, personally, I like to drink coffee just black. I like drip coffee or filter coffee. So that means when you have your cup and then you put on top, you put a filter on top, which is the thing that you put the coffee you put the coffee grinds. So you put the ground coffee, which means like when you take the beans and then you turn it into a powder, you grind the beans into a powder, put it in a filter, and then pour water on top, and the coffee drips through. So that's filter coffee or drip coffee. That's how I usually like to drink my coffee. But if you go to a cafe, you can get espresso, which originated in Italy. So espresso, is when they use an espresso machine, and the coffee is extracted, which means like they take the flavor out of something. Yeah, they extract the coffee through very high pressure and very hot water. So the coffee comes out very concentrated, very thick, and I'm sure you've tried it before. That's espresso. So then with espresso, you can make latte and cappuccino and cortado and macchiato and many different types of coffee, which these days I don't drink much espresso coffee, and I don't drink latte or cappuccino, but I used to work in cafes. I've had a lot of experience working in cafes, and I really enjoy making this kind of coffee. It's really fun. I used to be a bit of a barista. So people who have this job, we call it a barista. And I used to make the lattes and cappuccinos. And perhaps you've seen when people do like latte art. So latte art is when you take the milk and you do a kind of pattern. As you pour the milk, you make like a heart, or that's like the most basic one is a heart, or you can make a leaf or swan or all different kinds of things. So I used to do a bit of that when I was working in cafes. And I really like making coffee, to be honest. I really enjoy doing this. And maybe one day I would like to have my own cafe. That's like a bit of a dream of mine. I have different ideas about what I'd like to do in the future, but if I could have a cafe, my own cafe, I think that would be really cool. My wife likes the idea as well. She'd also like to have a cafe. It's a very nice environment in a cafe. Not only do I enjoy making the coffee, but having customers come in and being able to chat with people, being able to talk with people. As you all know, I'm an English teacher, so I enjoy talking with people. That's my job, and that's why I also enjoy working in cafes, because you get to talk to a lot of people. So that could be a good option for the future. How about you? How do you like making your coffee, or how do you like drinking your coffee? There's so many different options. So put it, if you're on the YouTube version, put it in the comments below and tell me how you like to drink your coffee, and tell me how it's different in your country compared to other countries, because there's a very interesting culture about coffee. In some countries people are using espresso machine. Other countries people are doing filter or drip. Some people are just boiling it in a pot. And there's like around Turkey and the Middle East and North Africa, they have these very beautiful little pots, and they boil it for like a long time with a very fine coffee grind, so a very thin coffee grind, and they make like a very strong coffee. In English we tend to call this Turkish coffee. I mean, it comes from many different countries, but in English we tend to say Turkish coffee. And then Southeast Asia has their own kinds of drip coffee. There's so many different kinds. So comment and tell me how you like to drink your coffee and what's popular in your country. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. That's about all I have to say about coffee today. I hope you get to enjoy a nice cup of coffee today. I've already had Like 2. Yeah, only 2, but it's enough to give me a lot of energy, like those crazy goats. So if you're listening to the podcast version, please review. If you're on the YouTube version, please like, subscribe, and comment. Yeah, tell me about what coffee you like. And I will see all of you back here next time.